BigHerc916. You tuned into another edition of my vlog. I want to say thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for all your support. You know, I'm all about that positivity and that motivation. And you know, I like to stay lacing you guys up. And for all you young men out there trying to get your willy wet, be on top of your game when you're out here dealing with these females, man. I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than being a youngster catching a sex charge. You don't want that on your record. You don't want to have to deal with the implications. You don't want to have to deal with the stress of your family having to deal with it, and just the court system in general. And I say this because I know with technology and social media and things now, you know, you guys are passing around pictures, you're doing things, you're recording things, and you're basically incriminating yourself. And that could lead to some serious charges, man, because a lot of you are underage even though you're engaging in sexual activity. And bad things can happen, man. You know, good things, you know, you think might come out of it because you're enjoying getting your nut off, but at the same time, it could go sour real fast. I recall a particular female in my neighborhood growing up, and she was a straight hoe, you know, keeping it raw, man. She was giving it up to everybody, and I'm talking about, you know, she wasn't probably past the eighth grade, and dudes was running trains on her. She was a hoe, homie. She was, you tap on the bedroom window, you can climb through there and you bust her guts out while her parents in the next room and keep it pushing. That's what type of girl she was. But she was at the same time, you know, trying to play goody two-shoe to her parents. And her dad was a pretty big, intimidating dude, and it wasn't nobody you'd want to have to deal with as a youngster, because he would probably split your wig. But she, you know, was known to get tossed up and make house calls and all this stuff. Well, one day she was getting her back blew out and came home late, and her dad was hot. He was irate. He was ready to pull the belt out and whoop her ass. So what did she say? She said that these two guys raped her. Two athletes, two known athletes in the neighborhood, you know, kind of hood celebrities, basketball, football, baseball. These guys were, you know, they were studs, man. They were, you know, on their way. It appeared to be, you know, to big things. But this charge got these guys caught up, man, and they faced a lot of scrutiny as a result. Juvenile hall, you know, luckily they had a lot of family support, so they were able to get out while they were fighting the case, and the judge let them be in their family's custody rather than being locked up the whole time they were fighting this case. And this girl, you know, she played the role, you know, that she had got raped. But the thing that exposed her was that multiple guys had sex with her in the past, not too long before the situation. So when it came time, and all these different people were kind of like saying, hey man, your daughter's she's a neighborhood toss-up. He didn't want to experience embarrassment, so the charges were dropped. And you know, it left a little dark cloud over the neighborhood for a minute. You know, nobody wanted to touch this female, but she was pretty much like, you know, the Scarlet Letter, man. Everybody was like, stay away. And I can recall not too long after that, after the case it had been probably like a year or so, I seen this little broad, and I was young too, man, you know, and she was walking around and looking like, you know, and this is before I had kind of knew the whole story, And then when I found her name out, I ran a background check, because it's always good to ask around if anybody knows, some little hot trot around the neighborhood, and they're like, oh bro, stay away. The homies almost caught a case over her, and it was the two athletes I was talking about in particular almost went down behind her. So if her back was against the wall, you could possibly get pinched. And that's what you got to watch out for, man. Anything can be said if she feels that she can be in trouble. And it's happened numerous times. Rosewood, a woman said she was raped, and they burnt down the whole town, man. This is back in slavery days, man. They came through there and burnt down the whole thing. I mean, and there's been multiple instances where people have been killed because of a female making up a story about, having an affair or, improprieties, so especially you young guys, be careful about what you send out there on the internet to these females trying to get down their panties. And at the same time, man, just realize that, she's underage and her parents can press charges against you, and you can get caught up. And, in our days, we didn't have the cell phones and stuff like that. So you would just creep, man. I was a youngster, man. I remember creeping through more than one window, and parents sleep in one room, and you climb through the window, and, these girls were getting tossed up. But, had her parents walked in, what would I have done? My black ass butt naked on top of their daughter. Bro, it could have been all bad. So I'm giving you a heads up. Watch yourself, man. Stay on top of your game. And even as an adult, man, stay on top of your game. Some of these guys, they like messing with these broads, getting them drunk to the point where they pass out, and then they try to have sex with them. That can be considered a rape charge. So watch yourself with that. I can name another instance where I remember me and some homies going over to a female's house with her friends. We were young, high school, juniors or seniors, and getting over there, and they had already been partying with some other cats, and they were passed out, bro, butt naked, man. And I'm like, I looked around, and I looked at the homie, man. I said, man, this ain't cool, bro. We got to get up out of here, because whoever's here before us partying, we don't know what transpired, and I'm not trying to have them wake up and assume that we did something we didn't do. So we got the hell up out of there. But things like that, man, it happens every day at these frat houses, at these house parties, at these high school parties, at these college parties, at these office parties, at the office. It happens everywhere. And if she can't recall saying yes, then it can be considered rape. So you guys, you gotta protect yourself. I would recommend, if you're an adult, to almost damn near get a written consent. If you don't get a video consent, because you don't want it to backfire on you. Because if it doesn't go right down the road, that could come back and say, hey man, you raped me, and you could be a part of something you don't want to be a part of. And a sex charge is not only a sex charge you got to defend yourself against, but even if they try to get you to plead out and not do jail time, you got to register as a sex offender, and that's all bad, man. So that sex charge is not only for chomos. You can also be caught up if you have sex with an underage girl, if you rape. I think that falls under the similar blanket. So just be conscious of that, man, and watch yourself when you're dipping your stick, man. You don't want to be one of those guys that's made the sacrificial lamb in the name of some prosecutor who's trying to set an example by you. Especially if you're somebody who's reputable, you have a family, or you may be going somewhere as far as sports. A lot of athletes, man, a lot of these guys, they party with these girls, and they're messing around with more than one girl, and the girl gets mad, and she can say you got raped, and automatically the school's gonna kick you off the team. You lose your scholarship, and now you got to fight a rape charge in another town that you're looked at as having taken advantage of one of their local girls. So situations like that, man, you got to really think 2 steps ahead. Because I don't want to see you guys out there catching cases. You young men out there, man, you got bright futures. You want to do big things. BigHerc916, holler at me, man. If you want to do some life coaching, some mentoring, and I'd love to hear from you, man. Check out the website, BigHerc916.com. 916 store and pick you up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that BigHerc916 has authored. You know how we do it. My entire life, my mom did the best a 14-year-old could do, raising me with love and instilling values that will last a lifetime. I was a straight-A student and lived to make her happy. So how did I go astray? A horrible stepdad that stole my self-worth and invoked fear turned me into a person that I struggled to overcome. From skateboarding to selling drugs, gang banging in juvenile hall, I got caught the same way many young promising men get caught up. I struggled to find my identity, getting mixed up in shootouts, crime, and the adult entertainment industry. This roller coaster continued as I juggled college, hustling, and Hollywood, eventually catching a federal bank robbery case. I found redemption in prison while serving a 120-month federal sentence and came out a man on a mission. I became a social media influencer with over 500 million views on YouTube and a life coach mentoring people all over the world. This is my journey against all odds.